Are you wanting to improve your skill as a gold laner? Here's the perfect guide for you. I've consolidated the different tips that MPL players are using into the 5 main steps to master gold lane. Do watch through the entire video as you do not want to miss out on any important detail mentioned. But before we begin, statistics shows that less than 2% of you guys watching this video right now is subscribed to my channel. Click on the subscribe button below so that you won't miss out on any future updates. It's totally free and it takes less than 1 second to do so. Alright, done that already? Let's get started on today's video. First up, hero selection. Choosing the right hero would greatly boost the chance of winning a game. Of course, some beginners would say that the hero that I'm currently playing like Mia or Layla can win the game as well. So what's the point of playing another hero? The only reason of them winning the game right now would be skill difference. But most of the time as they climb up the ranks, ML matchmaking system would typically match players of similar skill level with each other. At that moment, they would typically realize that they would start to feel the struggle and eventually quit the game. So to stop this from happening, try picking meta heroes. Meta heroes are often stronger and will give you an easier time in lane.
I'm built different.
So why not make full use of their strength and give yourself an easier time in your games? During the draft mode, try to pick your gold laner after the opponent team have picked theirs. This will give you time to decide on a marksman that is able to win against the opponent one on lane.
Let's go!
However, if you were to pick your gold laner first, always go for heroes that are more viable in most scenarios. This is a tier list of heroes that I've made to boost your hero selection choice. Next up, tip number 2. Playstyle and better spell selection. Some gold laners such as Harith, Melissa and Aritel are classified as early game gold laners and are often able to be played aggressive on lane from the start of the game. On the other hand, heroes such as Layla, Moskov and Mia are classified as late game gold laners, which often requires more items and hence should be played passively on lane. Other than deciding on your playstyle, your better spell selection is crucial. Choosing your better spell wisely will increase your survival chances substantially. A common mistake players make would be choosing Flicker as their spell all the games. Instead, they should choose their spell according to the opponent team lineup. Here are some cases that you can consider choosing alternative spells. Case number 1. When fighting against strong set roamers such as Atlas, Tigreal or Grok, change your better spell from Flicker to Purify. Most of the time, these heroes is able to apply crowd control skills on you during teamfights. Purify would hence come in more handy than a Flicker. Case number 2. Better spells such as Inspire or Vengeance can be considered when playing gold laner with higher mobilities. Some examples of such heroes are Harith, Nathan, Moskov and Melissa. These heroes often already have a dash skill, which makes an additional dash from Flicker not that significant. Harith players would typically choose Vengeance or Purify as an alternative spell, depending on the opponent team lineup. Nathan, Moskov and Melissa, on the other hand, would choose Inspire for the extra lifesteal and burst damage. Coming up next would be farming. Gold laner are usually said to be the late game core of the team, hence having a farming strategy in mind is important. And so I'll be sharing with you the 6 main ways to get a gold lead on the opponent team. First, last hitting minions. By doing so, it will actually grant you around 20% more gold than clearing it normally. This might seem like a small amount, but if you manage to get all the last hits on the minion throughout the entire game, it will actually grant you a lot more gold and make a significant difference. Second, farming the gold crab or any unwanted jungle. This will allow you to gain additional gold compared to the opposing gold laner, which contributes to the gold lead. The gold crab grants around 100 to 300 gold depending on the game progress and spawns every minute, so do keep a lookout on the timer when it gets killed and get there before it spawns. However, you should never die for the gold crab as it will delay your farming speed drastically. Next, the turret's gold shield. If you were to have an advantage over the opponent gold laner, always take the opportunity to get as much gold as possible from the turret's gold shield. If cleared alone, it will grant you around 300 gold, which is even more than an entire minion wave. Moving on next would be the jungle straight buff. If your jungler were to be a tank jungle, you can request the red buff from them to expand your advantage. The red buff not only will allow you to deal true damage, but also slows down the opponent, making it easier for you to kill them. But don't get me wrong, do not forcefully snatch your jungle's red buff and only take it upon their consent. Alternatively would be the dual lane strategy. This strategy involves heading to the mid lane and sharing the minion wave with your mid laner. Always try to take safer paths while doing so and avoid travelling around the map through the river. Moving on will be the laning phase. The laning phase involves three main parts: early, mid and late game. At a different part and sector of the game, your focus should shift along accordingly. Many players failed to do so, resulting in their marksman farming the jungle and avoiding teamfights late game despite having full build. During the early game phase, you should be focusing on surviving and farming. Try to maximize your farm with the various strategy mentioned earlier so that you can build your items as soon as possible. Most of the gold laners are often weaker without items, and hence you should focus more on surviving ganks and farming the gold. Always try to avoid unnecessary fights as a gold laner unless you have confidence of getting a kill or two throughout that fight. One simple tip to boost your chance of survival would be keeping a lookout on the map. If the opponent mid laner and roamer was seen to be moving towards your lane, try to stay within your turret and play passively. As for the opponent's jungle ganking path, it can be observed through the simple dashboard trick. If he were to gain 20 gold and 100 gold, that means that he started off with blue buff and would more likely gank the top lane. On the other hand, if he gains all 120 gold at once, means he started off with the red buff and would more likely gank the bot lane. Avoiding deaths and staying in the turret is your ultimate goal in the early game phase. As the game progresses on to the mid game phase, where you typically have 2 to 3 core items in hand, your focus now should be objective taking. Most marksmen will be able to deal certain damage by this point of the game. You should be rotating around the map and helping your teammate with small team fights and objective taking. However, try to stay away from unknown bush and take safer paths instead as you roam around the map. During the late game phase, you should typically be the core damage dealer of the team. Your focus should lie on dealing damage while surviving. This really depends on individual positioning skills. Having a good position would make it harder for the opponent to reach or even kill you. Always remember not to overextend during these fights to go for another kill, as you are highly important during the late game. This will end you up in a poorer position, making it easy for the opponent to kill you. Last but not least would be maintaining your advantage. I always seen beginner gold laners make this common mistake. They always fail to maintain their advantage that they build up in the early game due to their aggressive playstyle, but at the end finding fault in their teammate. And so here are some techniques to maintain your advantage and not let it go to waste. Initiating a lane swap with your EXP laner could be beneficial for both parties. This would allow you to expand your advantage across the gold lane to the entire team, allowing you to push turrets on the other lane, granting more vision for your team. Next, try to secure objectives for your team. Be it Lord, turtles or turrets, all of these will grant your team more gold and hence more advantage on the opponent team. As we all know, items is crucial in this game, and the only ways to build up your item is to build up your gold, and hence having more gold means that you have more items and hence more damage during team fights. Last but not least would be avoid walking directly into unknown bushes. These bushes would often have opponent heroes aiming or camping for you, so try to avoid them. Your goal as a gold laner is to stay behind your team and deal damage to the enemy team. If you were to be picked off by anyone in the opposing team, your teammates will have a high chance of losing a fight in the meanwhile. To avoid such a simple mistake, you should take paths closer to your base, as these routes are usually much safer. Staying behind your tank could also be a good option, as they can scout out the area and ensure that there is no campers hiding in the bush. Do ensure to keep a safe distance from them, as most assassins can one-shot you directly before your tank can even react. Alright, for those of you guys who are wanting to master GoldLane, I hope that this guide really helped you guys out. If you guys have any other questions about the GoldLane, do drop inside the comment section and let me know. Oh yeah, here's a video that you can check out if you are interested in the EXP lane as well.